Episode 1, Chapter 1, Negotiations, is the one level in LEGO Star Wars The Complete Saga that every single player has played. When you load into a new save file for the first time, the game tries every single thing that it can to make you play Episode 1, Chapter 1 Negotiations. You can't play any other level in Episode 1, you can't go through any of the other episode doors, you can't play bounty hunter missions, you can't view any minikits, as you won't have any yet. All you can do is play Episode 1, Chapter 1 Negotiations. Yeah, well, you can also drive the car around outside, which, to be fair, is quite cool, but Episode 1 Chapter 1 Negotiations is cooler. And that is what this video is about, because not only is it the first level in the game, it also serves as the game's tutorial level, where it teaches players about some of the game's most important mechanics. Upon loading into the level, you are met with a cutscene that closely mimics the first part of Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, where you see the Red Republic cruiser going into the Separatist control ship and being destroyed. Once the cutscene is over, you take control of Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon, where you find yourself in a small room. Now the room itself isn't very big. You've got a window at the back, you've got a couple of crates you can destroy. There is also a large table with some chairs around it, as well as a big glowing door. Now this glowing door is designed to teach players about the Force mechanic. If you hold the special button down on the door, it will break, allowing you to progress the level. Now it's at this point that most players, probably, will have also noticed the glowing chairs around the table. If you use the Force on the chairs, they will start to vibrate whilst playing the cantina music, leading to one of the most iconic moments in LEGO game history. Once you've walked out of the main spawn room, just like in the movie, there are some security droids, which are there to help introduce the player to some of the game's combat mechanics, mainly the lightsaber swing and the fact that you can use the Force on enemies. The camera is very deliberately placed facing down the corridor, making it incredibly obvious where you have to go. There are also a couple of doors. On the left is a room full of PK droids. There is also a machine that will dispense studs if you use the Force on it. This is good as it helps you teach players about the different types of studs, as well as to teach players about the True Jedi Bar. The True Jedi Bar is a bar that fills up over time as you collect more studs. True Jedi is needed for 100% completion of the game. Coming back out of that room, and going over to the opposite side of the corridor, you will notice another door. This one, however, is locked behind a protocol droid panel. Now this door teaches players about panels, and also teaches players that only certain characters can access certain areas. As for what's behind that door, well, we'll get to that a bit later on. Now you may have noticed that on the walls of this corridor, there are several glowing switches. If you manage to use the Force on all 6 switches, you will unlock your first minikit. Now there are 10 minikits in each level, and each minikit will go towards a small build. They're usually micro versions of official LEGO builds, however some of them are also custom builds designed by TT Games. Minikits also, of course, go towards 100% completion of the game. Heading down the corridor, there is once again another locked protocol droid door, and turning right will lead us onto another corridor, where this time there are even more droids and some barrels. Now these barrels are likely to get destroyed when fighting the droids, and if you do destroy them, you will notice a power-up. Power-ups are blue orbs that will make your lightsaber turn purple, allow you to do more damage, and give you a stud magnet. They are, however, only temporary. At the end of the corridor, all of the locked protocol droid panels will finally make sense, as we'll run into TC-14. TC-14 is a protocol droid, meaning she can open protocol droid panels. Once you've used TC-14 to get through the large door, you'll notice another large door, this time without any panels next to it. That is because in order to unlock the door, you actually need to use the Force to flick a switch, to dispense some building pieces, to build the panel, which teaches players about the building mechanic, and also the fact that protocol droids can't build, meaning you once again need to use the character switching to switch back to either Obi-Wan or Qui-Gon to construct the panel. Once the panel has been built and the door has been opened, you enter into the ventilation shaft, where you need to use the Force to move the actual ventilation shaft itself out of the way before entering into the large hangar section. Now not only is this large hangar really cool, it also has a couple more of the game's key mechanics in it. On the floor, right after you drop down, there is a power-up, which gives you the chance to use one if you happen to miss it in the corridor. Now this power-up is even more satisfying to use than the last one, because there are even more droids. There are also quite a few Force puzzles, involving stacking boxes in the correct order to reach higher areas. Off to the left there is a door, which will take us to the room with the red brick in it. Once again, more on that in a bit. Going down the ramp will take us to the area with the shield and the droidicas. Now these droidicas introduce us to buttons. As they're rolling out, we get locked into a small cutscene, where we can see them lower the shield by standing on the buttons, coming out into the main area, and then, because they're no longer on the buttons, the shield raising again. Now this small cutscene does a really good job of visually demonstrating how buttons work. The shield is up, the droid could stand on the buttons, the shield lowers, the droid has come off the buttons, and then the shield raises again. The only problem is that, well, we can't actually get to the buttons because they're behind the shield. So, how do we do that? Well, we simply need to use the Force to build some platforms to jump over. This is also very important because TC-14 can't jump, meaning we have no way of ending the level if she isn't with us to use the panel at the end of the level. There's also a staff to build, which once again uses the building mechanic, but also shows us that vehicles are rideable. If you press the tag key, you will get on the staff and be able to ride around, shooting droids. There isn't really a whole lot to do once you've shot the droids, as you're only in an enclosed area, but riding the staff is always cool and interesting. The level ends by using the aforementioned TC-14 panel to open the door of the MTT, which will load us into a final cutscene, as well as the status screen, giving us all the information on the amount of studs we've collected, mini-kits, whether or not we got the red brick, and any characters we unlock in the level. Now we've finished the level in story mode, I'm going to go over the things that we've missed, including all of the rooms, as well as the mini-kits and the red brick. So mini-kit number 1 is actually in that first room with the protocol droid panel. In order to unlock it, all you need to do is stand on 2 buttons, which will lower a force field, allowing you to grab it. Mini-kit number 2 is the one that we actually took a look at when going over the level, involving these 6 switches. Mini-kits number 3 and 4 are inside of the room that's behind the second locked protocol droid door. In order to collect mini-kit number 3, you need to use a short character to go up a hatch to grab the mini-kit. Once you're up there, you need to stand on the button, which will lower a force field on the opposite side of the room. Up there will be mini-kit number 4, and in order to grab it, you need to use the Force to stack some boxes up, to then use a high jumping character, such as Jar Jar Binks, to actually jump across and collect the mini-kit. Mini-kit number 5 is the same as mini-kit number 2, just more switches on the wall. Mini-kits number 6 and 7 are both inside of the room that is locked behind the astromech droid panel. Mini-kit number 6 involves standing on a small cart, whilst player 2 uses the Force to push you into position, before once again using a high jump to actually reach the mini-kit. Mini-kit number 7 is probably the most complicated one so far. You need to use the Force on a vulture droid that will move it over to a vent, where you then need to use the Force on the vent to remove it, high jump up to the vent, go through the vent, and then use an astromech droid to hover over to the mini-kit. Mini-kit number 8 involves high jumping, once again. In the ventilation shaft room, after you've used TC-14 to open the door, you need to use the Force on the ventilation shaft to move it, and then high jump off of it to collect the mini-kit that is slightly above you. Mini-kit number 9 can be seen immediately as soon as you enter the large hangar. Now if you're a pro gamer, the way you collect it is by jumping diagonally across to the platform, and then just jumping and collecting the mini-kit. Failing that, you can use the Force to pile some boxes on top of each other that will allow you to jump up and collect it. And finally, mini-kit number 10, the last mini-kit, will require you to use the Force to pile up some boxes to a platform, where you'll then need to use the Force on a switch to make the platform move in order to actually reach the mini-kit. Those are all 10 mini-kits. Now we move on to the red brick, which is just off to the left of the large hangar, behind the astromech droid door. Now in order to get the red brick, you need to stand on this platform that is sticking out of the floor. Player 2 will then stand on the button, raising the platform, which will then allow you to jump into these 2 containers. The containers will lower, revealing 2 more buttons that you need to stand on in order to actually get the red brick. Oh, and if you're wondering what the red brick actually unlocks, it unlocks Super Gonk, which allows the Gonk droid to move faster as well as jump, one of my favourite extras in the game. And that is episode 1, chapter 1 negotiations. Now I hope you've all enjoyed this video, a bit of a kind of deep dive look at a level. Now it's definitely something I can do a lot more if you're interested. There are lots of levels in this game that I would like to go over. I think some of them would be quite cool. The video on screen now is my last video, where we take a look at the best character in LEGO Star Wars: The Complete Saga. And let's just say the results might shock you. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all later.